This is our invocation, which is our way of saying the blessing. So just relax, get comfortable, close your eyes if you like. And let us recognize right here, right now, is the Spirit of God within us, filling every space, every corner. And so as we recognize our oneness with Spirit, unify ourselves with Spirit in consciousness, we know that all is well. And so we recognize that right here, right now, for all of you, a blessing, each and every one of you in this sanctuary. And we give thanks for all those who serve and give to this center and provide the abundance and the wisdom and the very work that keeps it going. And we recognize our musicians this morning. We recognize BJ and George. We recognize Barbara in the sound booth, the practitioners. We recognize Miriam, who will this morning provide a channel for the Spirit of God to move through, speak through her, and provide a lesson and a blessing. And so knowing that all is well and all is good in the presence of God wherever it is, we recognize this and we give thanks. And together we say, and so it is.
So it is.
And so this morning's reading comes from my favorite mentor, Joel Goldsmith. And this really will fit well with Miriam's talk this morning. And a little bit of an exercise that you just gave us. The title of it is, What Did Hinder You? As children, you have all played the game where you make chalk marks, little squares on the sidewalk. Somebody chases you until you are inside one of the square boxes, and you cannot get out until you pay a forfeit. Who says you cannot get out? There is only a chalk mark there to keep you in. But the rules of the game say you must remain there, and so you do. That is good fun as long as it is a game. But would it not be tragic if the other children went home while you were in that box and did not release you, and you felt that you could not get out of the box? And yet all you would have had to do would have been to step across those lines. The Master, Christ Jesus, watched people imprisoned by chalk marks, multitudes of them. They sat crippled at the gates and in the streets, but he merely looked at them and said, Wilt thou be made whole? Rise, take up thy bed and walk. And they arose and walked. They found that there was nothing hindering them. They were just obeying a rule of human life, which says that under certain circumstances, or at certain ages, a person may be paralyzed. And this they had accepted. Jesus saw the chalk mark there, and in his conviction that there was nothing hindering them, they got up and walked. To Lazarus he said, Lazarus, come forth. And Lazarus came forth. What was hindering him? The rules of the game of human life. So people will continue to suffer until somebody comes along who sees that the laws of sin, disease, and lack are chalk marks, and in his spiritual discernment asks, what did hinder you? The Master told us that we must become as little children in order to accept the truth. Very often, the reason for delayed healings is the spiritual healer's inability to be childlike enough to see a white chalk line, or somebody else has seen a death date, or has accepted a certain period as necessary for the disease to run its course. People see 3 chalk marks instead of 1 when it is an incurable disease, and they are locked more tightly than ever in their prison. An incurable disease? What can be worse than that? As a matter of actual fact, spiritual healing often has far greater success with incurable diseases than with the curable ones, because when a doctor says, I've done all I can do, the patient gives up hope of a cure from material medicine, and in his or her hopelessness, there is receptive and responsive to the spiritual impulse. Only those white chalk marks called time, diagnosis, symptoms, or appearances can make you believe that you are a prisoner of a disease or sin. The only requirement for freedom is to skip across that line. And why not? What is hindering you? A belief? A theory? When you recognize it as but a belief or a theory, all the white chalk lines begin to disappear out of your life because they are not there as barriers. They are there only as appearances. And so it is.
So it is.